buttonholes are used when you want a little extra support on those vertical ends of your buttonhole. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to go to the #1 setting for our buttonholes. If you look at the side of the machine, this is actually 4-step buttonhole. So 1 is coming towards us, 2 is the bar tack across the bottom, 3 is going away from us or the right side of the buttonhole, and 4 is the top bar tack. The next thing that we need to do after we've made our stitch selection is to actually change our length. So from 0 to 1, you'll notice that you have the buttonhole stitch length adjustment. So we're going to go ahead and set that up. Now we're going to go over to our presser foot. We're going to take off our standard presser foot because we are actually going to attach the buttonhole foot. And when you look at your buttonhole foot when you first get it, you'll notice that you have this little tab at the end, and then you have another tab at this end, which would be the end towards you when the buttonhole attachment is in place. And what that does is that allows for the cording to sit on each side, in a sense spreading that cording out. So what I've done is I've looped my cording and I'm going to wrap it around the end that I would consider like the tie down end. That's going to be the end that secures the cording. And then these two pieces will actually go up into those grooves and be secured there. I actually do this before I attach my buttonhole. I find it a little easier to do that rather than trying to put the cording in position when the buttonhole is in attachment is in place. So I'm going to go ahead and secure the buttonhole attachment in place. Once it's snapped in place, I'm going to pull that buttonhole towards the back because remember that buttonhole stitches towards me. Now I've gone ahead and I've marked my fabric, and again because the buttonhole is going to stitch towards me, I want to start at the top of my buttonhole and I'm lining up those edges with the markings on the inside of the foot. And now I'm going to go ahead and lower that presser foot. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stitch down the right hand side of the buttonhole attachment. And what I want to make sure is that that needle is going over or clearing the cording and not stitching into the cording, so that when I come to the end of my buttonhole I can hopefully pull that cording back or pull that loop back. So I'm coming to the end right here. Okay, and again, I want to stop on the right side up, and I'm going to go to stitch #2, which is the bottom half of my bar tack. And here's the bottom half of my bar tack going back and forth. Okay, and I want to end on the right hand side with the needle up, so I can go to stitch #3, which is the portion of the bar tack, or excuse me, the portion of the side that's going to go away from me. Catching again, it's catching that cording as it's going up until I get to the top. And then I'm going to stop with the needle on the right hand side, making sure the needle is out of the fabric, and I'm going to go back to stitch #4, which is the top of the buttonhole or the top bar tack. Let it stitch in place a couple of times. I'm going to go ahead and take the needle out of the fabric, raise the presser foot, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut our threads. And then what we're going to do is you can see that you have this loop right here, and that's where it connected to the top half of the buttonhole. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my cording and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull, and what that does is you can see that's pulling that cording down into that buttonhole, securing it. So when you use this type of technique, or when you're using this technique, you want to make sure that your cording sits inside those left and right rungs and that it's not too big. So now that that's secured, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of fray check is what I would use to secure that, and then trim these threads right up to the edge of that buttonhole, and now I have a perfect buttonhole, or a perfect corded buttonhole. And you can see by putting that cording in there, those edges or the left and right rungs of that buttonhole are a whole lot more pronounced, so they're a little bit heavier, a little bit beefier. So this is something I might use in a wool garment where I want that buttonhole to possibly be a little stronger. So you can see how easy using the buttonhole foot with the notches for the cording it is to create a corded buttonhole, giving you that professional look on the Baby Lock Zest.